This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
Welcome back, everybody, to Advice from a Call Center Geek. I'm super excited about today's episode. Let's get through the name things and the little pleasantry. So my name is Tom Laird. I'm the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing. We're a 500-seat BPO outsourcer located here in northwestern Pennsylvania. You know, we talk about the geek and what the mission is, and the mission really is to give you guys actionable items that you can take back to your contact center to make improvements, to improve the agent quality, to improve your agent culture, and hopefully improve the customer experience. Okay, having said all that, let's talk about what we're going to really get into today, and that's a redo of episode 4. So in going back and listening to some of the early podcast episodes, obviously I'm not a professional at this. I'm trying to do this for fun. I have a Yeti microphone. I'm in a little bit of a soundproof room, and I have some notes and I go. So episode 4 was on the games that we play in the call center, and I think the content was really good, but the execution was not. I actually did it on Christmas Day after we opened presents. I was down in the basement. Kids were playing with their stuff. We had a couple hours before we had to go see family, so I decided to kind of knock one out. Maybe it wasn't the best idea. So I'm going to re-record some of those earlier ones that maybe the sound quality's not there. We didn't have an intro, some of the things that we have now. But today, I want to get really good and have a lot of fun with this and talk to you guys about some of my favorite games to play in the call center. And I'm going to break this up into kind of 3 categories. One is kind of some easy games that you can play on your team or your we call our booths, batteries, and it's kind of how we've broken our teams out. But things that you can do very easily with really no cost. And then some intermediate games that are a little bit of fun that maybe take a little bit of thought, but not too much. And then, some more maybe intense, games and things that do have a little bit of setup, things that maybe you want to do around a holiday that are a lot of fun, but, they just take a little bit of thought. So I want to dig right into this. If you are a call center manager, if you work in a contact center, I think, pass this episode on. This is going to be, something that I think can really help everybody, because if you're like me, you're always looking for, kind of something that you can really get the reps to like and enjoy and have fun during the day. And that's a huge culture thing with us. So we're constantly looking for these types of things. Each supervisor and each of the reps really contributes to this. So we really try to get as much feedback and information and any type of games that they want to play or anything silly that they want to do. We just constantly document. I think we're up to about 150 total games in our game book, our Expedia game book. Again, on our floor, we have to have something going on at all times, and that could be team versus team, that could be individuals, that could be the whole room as a whole. But we really like to at least have 1 or 2 things going on really at all times. So let's talk about some of the really basic games, and these are things that you're probably already going to have in the back of your mind. So the first thing that we would like to do out of these kind of 20 games that we want to play is we just call it pass the ... All right, so this is kind of number 1, pass the ... It's very easy. We'll have the supervisor on 3 pieces of paper, maybe write down 3 times during the day. So 11:29 a.m., 1:42 p.m., and 3:18 p.m. And only the supervisor will know that. And what we'll do is we'll have some type of, stuffed animal or some type of, I keep saying icon. It's not an icon, but some type of, toy that we can pass around. And again, if it's summertime, it's probably a beach ball. If it's Christmas time, we might pass around, a stuffed Santa. And each sale or each quality monitoring or each KPI that these guys hit from a handle time or whatever is important KPI, and I won't go deep into that, but obviously we're talking about KPIs that are important in your call center, and every call center is a little bit different. Did they memo 100%? For when a supervisor checked for that hour, whatever that stuff is. As those things, as somebody gets, let's just use a sales call center. Somebody gets a sale, they get the stuffed animal or the beach ball passed to them. The next person gets a sale. It just keeps getting passed until that first, I believe it was 11:29. So when 11:29 comes up, whoever is holding that gets the prize. We'll talk about prizes at the end, but they win that game for that increment. We like to play hangman on our teams. So this is more of a supervisor with their 12 to 15, 16 individuals. So again, any KPI hit, they get to guess the letter, and we keep going until somebody gets the name, and that person obviously wins. This is silly and stupid, but the reps really like it. Is we have dry erase boards really for every team. So we'll do a kind of a coloring contest, and we'll have a theme. Like one day we did, draw an Expedia mascot. So every time that somebody got a sale or a good KPI, they got to go up and add a piece to it. So you get to add a face or a nose or eyes, and everybody did that. And then at the end, we had some management people, and I think HR voted on for the day on who had the coolest mascot, and that team won. Kind of fun, and again, super cheap. We'll play poker. Any type of KPI that goes out, they get a card. And I think a lot of call centers do this. So we'll do this for a day. We'll also sometimes do this for a week-long deal. So every day they'll keep getting cards. So you might have 25 cards, but you're only using those top 7. And then the best poker hand wins. We like to play cornhole. We have some Expedia boards that were made for us. So we'll play, team versus team cornhole. Again, anytime that you get a sale, you get to go up, you get to throw, try to score points for your team. Same thing, we like to do some team versus team tic-tac-toe. And we have a big tic-tac-toe board that we have on the floor. Anytime that you get a KPI, you get to go put your X or your O, and then we just keep, we do best out of 7 series to see who wins. And then this is kind of different, I think. We just call it Bet Who. This was a rep idea, and it's just kind of spun, and I think it's a little bit of fun. But basically, you're betting who gets the next KPI or the next sale or the next person to get that high quality monitoring or whatever the KPI you're monitoring. So the person, sales, this is the easiest just to kind of give the example. So if Susie gets a sale, she then will bet, who will get the next sale or the next high KPI, and she'll choose that person. So that kind of motivates that person to really try to work. If that happens and that person gets it, then Susie will get a certain point total. Like normally it's 10 points, and then the person who wrote it will get 5, and then they get to choose. So we keep kind of going back and forth. If they don't get it, then it kind of goes back into the hat. It's the next person who gets the sale. So you're constantly kind of, there's a motivation. If you don't bet the person right, everybody in the room is trying to get the next sale to be the person who can guess. If you did get the sale, then you're trying to guess, and you're trying to really motivate the one person. So kind of cool, kind of fun game. All right, those are some easy things that I really like that are constantly going on in the call center. So let's ramp this up a little, and you'll see that there's a little bit of a joke to that. But to some more intermediate things that we like to do. We're huge on sports. I believe that one of the biggest motivators when you're playing these games is to get your associates off the phones, right? Let them walk around for a minute. Make sure that not everything is just jammed in their booth. That they get a little bit of time to relax. So one of the things, we have a bunch of Nerf hoops all over our call center. So we'll play Hoop It Up. And basically, we just have a Nerf hoop who's at one end of the floor, and then using some painter's tape, we'll mark off different distances for different points. And we'll do an individual, and we can do a team versus team. So you could have up to 6, 7, 8, 9, how many teams you want. Every time that somebody gets one of those KPIs, they go up, they get to shoot. If they make it, they get those points for their team. One of the things that we started when we were just starting out, and really we're on a little bit of a lower budget than we are now, is we play rollerball or hall ball. And we call it a hall ball because the call center attached to a hallway, when we first started out. So we would walk the rep all the way to the end of the hallway, and they would have a ball that they would roll, and literally they would just roll it into like a garbage can. They would roll it into a cup. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. They loved it. And then what we did is we said, okay, we got hall ball. That's cool. So let's now ramp it up. So what we would do is we took a box or a garbage can, and we'd have a picture or a piece of cardboard or some type of plywood that we would just set and make a ramp right into the garbage can. So instead of just rolling it into a laid down can or a laid down cup, we'd ramp it up and try to see if they could go up the ramp into the bucket. Nothing crazy here, guys, but it's a lot of fun, and they really like it. And I'll tell you, it's one of the things that they choose all the time when they get their choice, because it gets them out of their seat. Everybody's a little bit more interactive because everybody watches it as it goes. So it's kind of fun. One of the things that you can do in your seat, if let's say you're having, for us, if we have a client, maybe we have to be a little bit more, quote unquote professional that day, right? We'll create some. We don't really like to have paper in the booth, so we'll normally do laminated sheets that have 12 or 15 different KPIs or different things to hit. So they'll say things like, get 3 sales, have a 100% on your monitoring or 90% on your monitoring, tell your supervisor something positive, help your teammate out, things like that. And then what will happen is we'll kind of do like a little scavenger hunt. So as the day goes on, when they hit those things or do those things, they mark them off. And we'll either do, first one in a straight line, or a lot of times we'll just create these little things in a square that looks like a sidewalk, right? Like a path, right? So it's just like a chutes and ladders kind of thing. Like you have a beginning, you have an end at the top of the sheet, and they just kind of keep moving down that road with all those things that we think are important. So that's kind of something that's a little bit of fun too. And then something that we just actually did about a week or so ago, and if you go, I believe it might have been a little bit longer than that, but if you go on our Facebook page, there's actually a video of it, is we just played that cup pyramid game. So every time that somebody got a sale or got one of those KPIs, they got to go up and stack the cups. You know how you stack the cups in the pyramid, and then you got to bring them down. And I think it was we had to do it in 30 seconds or under. And everybody struggled with it. Everybody had fun with it, but then we did have one of our associates that did do it. She was really good at it. So something like that. That's a little bit of fun. As you can see with these games, it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of thought. It just it takes you to see what's your culture and what kind of reps do you have and what are the things that they're gonna like. And they don't care if things are are perfect. They care that they get off the phone, that they get to laugh, that they get to breathe for a second, that they can get some high fives. That's all they care about. They care about the game, the prize too, and we'll talk about that. But I think for the most part, it's more about the journey than it is the destination of the actual prize at the end. Okay, so let's talk about some more intense or some bigger games that you can play that I think are a lot of fun. And these, again, we do these more surrounding a holiday or a larger event. They don't have to be long. They don't have to be a month-long thing. And in fact, I don't really like month-long things. I like kind of instant gratification for these guys. The first one is my favorite. It might not be everybody's favorite, but I think it's the coolest. And we call it the human board game. So in our call center, we have, those carpet squares. They're 12 by 12 or, 1 foot by 1 foot carpet squares that look like, kind of game board pieces. So again, like sorry, all those little squares, that's kind of what it looks like in our center. So what we decided is to do that. So we will go and we'll just create a kind of a path all the way through the booth that snakes all the way around and goes around a couple times. And then you have a start and then you have a finish line that all the game players, all the teams need to get to. And then during that, we'll have little pitfalls or little helpers, right? So maybe five squares in, it'll say, move up 10 spaces or lose a turn or swap with one of the other participants in the game. So you get it. Anything that can happen in a board game, whether it's Parcheesi, whether it's Sorry, whether it's Chutes and Ladders, you can do on the floor. And then we'll take, each team will have some type of stuffed animal, some type of picture, just like the Monopoly, you get the car and you get the boot, same kind of thing. We'll kind of look at that, and whatever they want to use as their mascot, that's kind of what they'll do. So then, again, every sale, KPI, we have a little foam die that will roll, 1 through 6 to see how many spaces you'll move. And if you don't have that, you can, there's an app that you can just put it on one of your TVs in your room or on a computer to roll a die or just bring in some dice. And, they'll move themselves all around the call center. I think it's super interactive. Everybody sees where they are. It's a lot of fun. All the teams get involved with it. So that's my favorite. And, that can last you all day. That can last a week. It depends on how long you want to make the game. And, the biggest piece of it is just trying to figure out all the, every 5, 6, 7, 8 steps or tiles, making sure that there's kind of something that's a little interactive for them. you can even do things like, if you get here, you have to, do a little dance, or you get what I'm saying. Have some fun with it. All right. The other, big game that's kind of with it is kind of that Kentucky Derby, that horse race game. Everybody sees it around, in Erie or in Pennsylvania here. We have stag and drags, or, you have those kind of casino night fundraisers where you'll have like a stuffed head horse, right? And you'll have maybe 5 of them, and you'll have a track, kind of the same thing, where everybody will roll dice, and you'll move them down to see who wins the horse race. So kind of same thing as the human board game, but we kind of, if it's around the Kentucky Derby or one of those dates, we'll kind of make it into a horse race as well. And it's fun too, because we'll have the teams create their own horses, which can be very interesting, but pretty cool. We've played water pong. Obviously, we can't play beer pong here. How we found it works the best is to do a tournament based on teams. So, everybody, pairs up on that team, and then they'll go play as representatives of their team, the other teams, and try to, we'll track points for what teams are winning, and then we'll have an individual kind of team, the team that wins it overall as well. And again, you have to get a KPI or do something cool to go be able to throw. But I have we have some videos and pictures of that as well, I think, on our Facebook page from our last water pong tournament. And then the last one is the rep's favorite one for sure. And it takes, for us, it's a little bit of money. So we do it once or twice a year, because we want to really try to do it right. And it's Battleship. And we do this 2 different ways. So we're a little unique in that we have a couple call centers in kind of one location. So we have 3 distinct call center rooms that are roughly about the same amount of stations. So again, with us, that can be a little bit easy, but you can think about it. And what we'll do is in each room, we'll designate a couple stations, because if you think about it, we have call center booths, like 3 by 5 foot call center booths. They look like the actual spots on a battleship board. So we'll take 3 booths and say that's a battleship. We'll take 2 over here and say that's like a destroyer. And then we'll take 5 over here and say this is an aircraft carrier. And then each of those booths, they correlate to A1, A2, A3, A4. And we'll do that in all 3 rooms. And then anytime we get a sale, we use Slack for our communication on our floor. So the supervisor of that will Slack over to the other room and say, all right, we got a sale. We think that you have a battleship on B4. And if they do, they'll say hit, right? And each room, tries to kind of sync each other's battleships, which is kind of fun. So that's one way we do it. The other way is we kind of do a company-wide battleship game, to where we just set a giant board up. And again, I'm not going to explain this great. If you want the actual rules, send me an email and I'll shoot you the little book on it. But basically how it works is we set up a giant grid that we have specific places where we have the battleships in. Each representative gets a certain amount of chocolate coins. The goal is to have the most amount of chocolate coins at the end, or to have your battleship be alive at the end. So each rep, kind of has their own battleship on this giant grid. They get points based on if they guess things. We'll have certain things on the grid like get 5 more coins, get 2 more coins, or give 3 coins away. If your battleship gets sunk, you lose all your coins to that other person. So we keep kind of working it through. And there's ways that you can get coins back based on some other things that you do. But it's the person who either is, at the end has the most coins, or 2, has the ship that's left at the end. So again, it keeps everybody kind of going. It keeps everybody going through the whole way. And we have some different ways to keep people back in the game. But again, I'm probably not explaining that really good. It's an awesome game. I have the full kind of directions on it as well. The other thing that I think we've just started doing is we've been using social media for our games. We'll say things like, if you get a sale, we want you to go on our Facebook page, say something nice about the company, say something nice about your coworker. We'll do things like give a quote. We have we talk about attitude and effort here. Give us the best quote today on attitude and effort that you can think about. Put it on the Facebook page, and then we'll vote at the end for all the reps that posted that stuff, and they'll get the prize. And it also, so not only does it help your employee engagement, but it also helps, kind of what it looks like on your social media. The other thing that we do, as well as we've been passing a camera around to each of the supervisors. And you've been doing some team versus team kind of picture taking or Instagram taking to see who's coming up with the most unique, the coolest things that we can post on Instagram. And then we've been voting on those as well. So that's kind of my favorites. And I love that the addition of the social media, that we've been trying to figure out how we can get more engagement of our employees on the social media scene from a positive standpoint. And I think we've been doing a pretty good job with that. But remember the bottom line of this. The bottom line is to have the reps enjoy their job. If they can't enjoy their job, they're not going to enjoy, handling your customers, dealing with the daily interaction of your customer experience. So making sure that you have them engaged on a positive front, that you are controlling what's going on, that you are making your environment fun for them. It goes a long way into the improvement of the whole customer experience. So this isn't just kind of something to maybe, make a day a little bit more fun. I think it has a direct impact on your customer experience. It has a direct impact on your turnover. And, the culture of the organization can really rise when people see that they're really enjoying what they do every day. The last piece of this is, I said we want to talk a little bit about, what prizes. Prizes don't have to be crazy. Everybody has their own budget, their own culture when it comes to prizes and those types of things. At Expedia, we really enjoy giving away extra break time. I think from a cost-effective standpoint, it makes the most sense for us, but it also helps the rep as well, as they get to choose when they get, extra 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of break. So that's a huge plus. We'll do things like get a sale or get a KPI, go home. So again, that last hour, doing those types of things where they have a great QA, they have 100%, they get to go home, with pay for maybe the last 25 minutes. But other things, everything from lottery tickets to the gift cards to, people will fight for an Expedia pencil. I think I said it earlier, it really isn't about the destination with this. This is more about the journey of the day and controlling it, having fun with it, and then celebrating kind of the end prize, as even how silly or how little it is, making that fun as well. You got to have good middle management to do this, and especially making sure that they buy into it. You'll have sometimes we've had supervisors that thought the game was quote unquote stupid, right? And I don't really deal with that at all. So they kind of have the message now that no matter what we're doing, they're going to buy into it. They're going to have fun with it. And they found that it just makes their life easier. It makes their reps' life easier if everybody's on the same page with it. And that's a management training issue and things that we go over. But I hope that you enjoy this episode. I think, again, I'd love to have a two-way street with this. If anybody would like to post anything on the Advice from a Call Center Geek Facebook page, I'll do a post on this. So that, if you want to put any comments in, I would love to hear some of the other games that people play. Try to make a little bit of a community of call center geeks that we can try to help each other. Again, as I always say here too, there's a little bit of a cheap plug. There is Advice from a Call Center Geek book. It's on Amazon if you just want to Google it, and it basically talks about a lot of the games we have here in a paper format, and a lot of the different podcast episodes that we have done and are going to do. In a little bit of a different format if you'd like to have that. Super cheap. Also, please post a review if you found any value in this. I would love to hear some feedback. The more reviews we get, the more people we can push the geek out to. So again, thank you. I hope that this episode was cool. I hope that advances the employee engagement and the fun you guys have in your call center. Please pass this one around. I'm going to just kind of get rid of the old episode 4. This will be the new episode 4, so there really won't be a new episode, but showing as episode 12, as this will kind of go back to 4. But again, I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you next week, and we'll have a fresh new podcast out next week. Thanks.
This has been Advice from a Call Center Geek. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to the show so you're the first to hear next week's episode. Jam-packed with actionable takeaways you can implement ASAP. Chime in with your thoughts on the episode on Twitter @from_geek and on Instagram @call_center_geek. Also, take a look at our contact center operations book by the same name, Advice from a Call Center Geek, on Amazon. This podcast is sponsored by ExpediaUSA.com.